Okay, welcome back. This lecture is going to be a little different. It's not something that we're going to quiz you on or anything like that, but we wanted to talk a little bit about how harmonics can be found in tons of places in our own world and universe, and it's a good thing to know an example because it's something that you should realize this isn't something that was created but more or less discovered. I'm going to show you how harmonics were actually discovered and how we can apply it to something in the real world. And the example I'm going to use for you today is something that I know very well from my own passion and hobbies, which is music. Um, Specifically, I want to use the example of a guitar because I think it's something that a lot of people know and a lot of people can relate to. Um, when you look at a guitar and you actually pluck a string, that pitch is dependent on three factors. The first is going to be the length of the string and the tension of the string. The last one, of course, is kind of just like the mass density of the string, which is kind of like a combination of the two. But if you increase the tension, like when you're bending a string or making a string shorter, the pitch increases. I'm sure you guys have all done, your own little experiments when you were kids that, you pull something tighter and you pluck it and the frequency and the sound, it gets higher. Well, the frequency goes up as well as the mass density decreases. Uh, so this last sort of property is why guitar strings get thinner as you move towards the higher strings and why lighter gauge strings are sticky and easier to bend. There are some basic concepts about these frequencies or waves that will make it easier for you to understand what exactly flows and how harmonies and harmonics appear in music. First of all, there is an inverse relationship between the frequency and the wavelength. Okay, so as frequencies increase, the wavelength becomes shorter. But if you double the wavelength, the frequency would be halved. So think of these images as a series of snapshots taken of the vibrating string. Okay, so it shows a string vibrating where the length of the string is equal to half the wavelength. The only nodes are at the end of the string. This shows the string vibrating with twice the frequency than previous, and the wavelength is now the same length as the string, and there's an additional node at the center of the string. Well, if you could pluck the string in the shape like the one above, then you would only hear one pure tone. But when you use a pick, you are creating a shape more like a triangle, where the 3 points are the nut, or like the fret, the bridge, and the point of where you're actually plucking the string, right? Uh, this shape adds other frequencies to the string, which is why you don't see the patterns above like being like whole tones, but those patterns are mixed with many other patterns. Um, so hopefully that kind of makes sense. But a frequency is called a natural frequency by definition. It can exist without any driving sources with it. With our string, there is a physical interpretation of natural frequencies. A frequency is a natural frequency if its waveform, okay, like the vibration has nodes, or it could be like the fret or the bridge, that match up with the ends of the string. When you pluck the string, you are causing it to vibrate at the natural frequencies. The lowest frequency at which this occurs is the fundamental pitch that you actually hear. In the market, though, like the Forex market, you could replace the driving sources with people trading the market or news or other stuff like that. And they're kind of like plucking with the prices. And they're the equivalent to the ends of the string or what creates the pitch or the sound you hear or what you see on your charts. Uh, going back to the music stuff, of course, the waves in the string can have other nodes, just like the market can have other factors in addition to where the nodes end on the string, or how the market ends the day or the week. These waves come from other natural frequencies, which are what they call upper harmonics. So when you pluck a string, you hear a combination of these natural frequencies and not just one single tone or like a whole tone, right? These frequencies are harmonic if an integer multiplied by the frequent fundamental of that frequency is evident. The fundamental is the first harmonic, although it generally is referred to as a fundamental. The second harmonic is 2 times the frequency of the fundamental. The third harmonic is 3 times the fundamental, and so on, right? So with a fundamental of, let's just say, 100 hertz, the second harmonic would be 200 hertz, and the third would be 300 hertz, and the fourth 400 hertz, and so on. So rather than working with numbers, you can think of the harmonic series in terms of musical intervals, right? The first harmonic is the fundamental, the second harmonic is an octave above, and the third harmonic would be an octave and a fifth above the fundamental. The fourth harmonic is 2 octaves above the fundamental. The fifth, it goes on, would be like another major third higher, and then the sixth would be like a minor third higher, and the series continues. So you can see how, this is just with an example of music with a guitar, harmonics do exist in our normal world because harmonics are just a mathematical series. So you can take that same mathematical series and you can apply it to the Forex, and it has all the things that happen with playing the guitar also happen in the Forex, which we've just kind of gone over. Hopefully that's not something that you got too lost with, and you don't have to understand the whole thing, but you can see and you can relate to how music, which is just one example, can actually be used in the technology. I shouldn't say the technology, the natural occurrences of music can happen in the market. And I think that's important that you guys draw that connection. And anything that has any frequency, you can apply the harmonic series to. So anything with frequency, you could go into physics, you can go into anything you want. Anything with a frequency can be applied the same theory that we use to trade the Forex. And that's why harmonics in the Forex works so well, is because these things were not created, they were discovered. And when we say that, this is exactly what we mean. The example of the guitar and harmonics in the market.